Hello, you. Reagan Robertson here, co-host of Everyday Practices podcast. I want to ask you a question today. What do you allow into your headspace? Who are you allowing in your headspace? Who's taking up that real estate? Who are you giving the microphone to exactly? When I was young, I remember my dad saying from the front seat of the car, "Kids, please be quiet. It's just so much talking. I can't think." As a parent now, I can definitely relate to what he was saying. And just like food, we have countless options when it comes to what information we're choosing to put into our brain. But we have finite energy to make it all happen. We chose this week to revisit a popular episode we held back in May of 2020 with Dr. Devin Giron. My co-host, Dr. Chad, sat down with Dr. Devin to talk about this very topic, one that we feel is especially poignant at this moment in time when several states are ramping up yet again for lockdown due to COVID. Because your time is finite and the stakes are higher than ever, you are in for a real treat as Devin shares the pearls that help him stay productive through good times and bad, and how a shift in mindset along with some accountability is sometimes all it takes to go from feeling mediocre and kind of ho-hum to being at the top of your game. Listen all the way to the end and I'll share a special $700 scholarship you can take advantage of today so you can fuel yourself up with some powerful brain food and get your new year started off on the right foot. Enjoy!
So after you joined Productive Dentist Academy, like what have you implemented? Because I tell people it's kind of a choose your own adventure. You don't have to do a cookie cutter like my way or the highway. So what have you implemented and what are you hoping to implement, in spite of all this craziness that we've had going on over the last, month or so?
Well, I think, the first tenet of Productive Dentist Academy, I think, is production per hour, right? Just looking at, once you start breaking down your procedures based on how much you're doing hourly, it kind of sheds a light on if you're doing things the right way or you're doing things the wrong way, or if you're wasting your time, or if you could be condensing your day, say, in half and producing the same amount and going home and being with your family. So I think that's the number one thing that I'm implementing, having goals. Duh, you don't know where you're going.
Right. So tracking your goals.
Right, tracking your goals.
Knowing where you're going.
Yeah, it tells you exactly where you're going.
Yep.
Verbiage is a huge one. When Bruce gave that over-the-shoulder course and kind of gave the verbiage, one of the risk factors, you can get that, but you can get that anywhere online. You can listen to Bruce and he'll talk about it. But
sure,
I think that was so beneficial because you could actually hear what he was saying to real patients.
Yes.
And I wrote down all those different sayings that he used, and that's made a huge difference in my practice.
Yep.
And so verbiage, I think, is beyond anything else.
Do you go around sometimes going, "It's time"?
Yeah, it's time. That's right.
It's time.
Right. You're at a wide road, my
Yep.
friend. He uses that a lot too.
James, it's time.
It's time, James. There's a bunch of them. I call them Bruceisms. There's a huge thing. Like you have those yellow things behind you there.
Yeah.
I have a whole page of Bruceisms in my office. And so when I'm putting on my loop light or something like that, I'm looking at these things, or before I go into an exam,
Yes.
looking at all these different phrases he uses.
4 months, 4 years, you choose what's comfortable for you.
That's it, dude. That's it. You've got them all. And but there's about 20 of them. There's about 20 of them, my friend.
Yep.
And so I look at those and I refresh my memory on those every day. And goodness, I think listening to Carrie Miller, my coach,
yes,
is paramount. She's the best coach out there, I heard.
Tell me about, well, of course. That is solely why I use her, because she's at the peak of her game. So tell me, what does coaching look like for you?
Goodness, that's twice a month. And, I think it's just her kind of guiding our team, but also guiding me into being a better leader.
Yeah.
I think is the key, and just being able to look at you from a different view, because you obviously can't see what you're doing.
Well,
you
and
can,
focusing your energy. You and I are a lot the same, and we have a ton of energy. And if it's not focused, it's just kind of explosive dynamite. And
it's just bad. It's all bad.
That can be used for good if we focus it.
Right. But mainly we use it for bad. You and me, guys like you and me, we're just
or not necessarily bad,
evil?
but just undisciplined. Like there are certain times when I've got a lot of energy and I'm just going to do it to what I would call shenanigans. And
Yeah.
But if I'm focused, then I'm going to be like, okay, let's really so she helps me stay focused on my goals.
Yeah, no, that's Carrie Miller for you. I call her K-Dog. And no, she's great.
Who
And
knew? That's what I call her too.
Yeah, is that what you call her too? Great.
Yep, from now on.
But no, it's great because, like you said, it keeps you focused, keeps you on point, and because like you and me can be all over the damn place.
Yep.
And it's not a good thing.
Yep.
So,
I don't know. I think it's fun, but I mean, I've been told that my disciplined self is a little bit better. All right. So after you signed up for the over the shoulder, was the brucisms seem to be what made the biggest difference to you? What else? I mean, was it basically just seeing that he was what's the word for it? He was consistent with using that verbiage, and what else?
I think it's like we were talking about. Sometimes you're skeptical about something. How can someone be producing X amount of dollars in this amount of time?
Right. 3 times as much as me, 5 times as much as me, 20 times as much as me. What the heck?
Just crushing it.
Right.
And so number one, I flew the entire staff out there. Said, all right, you guys see what the hell's going on.
Wow.
Right. So that's important. And just them being able to, I had a couple hygienists that were like, just show it to me. I want to see what Michelle's doing, the hygienist over there.
Yeah.
Because they're like, how does she do it? I'm like, well, let's go. Let's see it.
Yep.
So some people have to touch it, feel it,
Yep.
do all that stuff. So other people can just say, we're going to do this, and they'll do it. But I think just being able to see him take an hour lunch, walk around less stressed out than I do in a day, and produce 3 times as much as I do in a day. Just being able to see that is amazing. And it's nothing. It's not fitting more procedures in. No. It's just how you schedule.
It's not twisting people's arms.
No, it's super simple. And I think the big take home is he's spending time on exams too.
Yep.
And a lot of times as dentists, we're like, oh, just put the exam over there. You're not spending time with patients. Your team's not doing a good job. Right. You're not linking with the patient, all that stuff. And all that stuff builds on itself. So I think just being able to see him do that, produce at a high level, was just a blessing. And I told him that. I was like, man, I really appreciate it. You changed the trajectory of my career. And he probably hears that a lot. And I don't know if he knows how much he's changed other people's lives.
No.
I don't think he does. No, I'm being honest with you, because I'm like, he's kind of like,
totally agree.
Thanks. But I think at the end of the day, he needs to realize that he's actually changing people's lives. And by doing that, we're changing other people's lives by talking with other dentists, other people, and saying there's a way to do things.
I think he knows it. I think he also just calmly accepts it and whatnot, instead of, blushing and drawing it out. But I think some people hear one message and they don't accept it because they don't need that kind of, message in their life and, stuff like, and they're better than that and they know everything. And there's other people that are like, I could really use that. And it's the same message, but a different set of ears, and they hear it and they go, wow, this really changed my life and my life. And so he knows that there are people out there that will receive it and implement 5% or 10%. But again, that's 5 or 10% better. And then there's other people that'll do 3 times as much good to their community and to their employees, and have a more sound business structure and everything. And all that adds up. It really does. I mean, it made a huge difference. And that's why I'm doing this podcast. Right.
No, the craziest thing is, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's just dentists, it's human nature. I'm not a clinical psychologist or anything like that. But
I cry
craziest. What exactly? There you go. The craziest thing is, you can talk with other dentists, and you can talk to them until you're blue in the face, or you can say, this is what really happened, or this is my trajectory, or this is what we're doing. And they won't believe it.
Right.
And they won't change. And it's like, okay, are we saying something wrong? are we too cheap as dentists? Like, oh, that's going to go on this, so I'm going to have to pay this amount of money over that. That's $36,000 or that's $50,000
for marketing.
But, yeah,
right.
What are we doing? And I think that all they see is dollars and cents. I'm going to get this amount subtracted from my bank account, and I might make $300,000 for a $30,000 investment, but for some odd reason, our brains can't put it together.
Yep.
And we're just like, nah, I'll pass on that, or I'm going to go this course, and I'm
basically bias.
Yeah, I don't. It's a crazy thing, and I still can't figure it out. And I'm not. You're in the consulting world, so maybe you know what it is, but I can't. Dentists are hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I are both dentists. I just like being a good listener, more than anything. I've got a message and a story, but I just like being a good listener. But you're right. Some people, you said it earlier though, when the teacher, I think it was before we were recording officially on here. What is that? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, or whatever. But
no, that's in that book, right? I didn't say it. Someone else said that, but that's
we hear it. It's almost a proverb, and stuff
right.
like that. So, which brings up a good point. Is there any book that you've read in the last year or so that's really kind of spoken to you? It doesn't have to be dental or anything like that, but what kind of stuff could you pass on to the listener to be like, in the last year I've read this book and it wasn't even about dentistry, but it was really good about life or something along that line.
There's a lot, Chad. I mean, I have that.
You've really grown. You really have.
Yeah. So I have that commute. So I have Audible on my
yes.
phone. So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, there's so much. I mean, you have something like The $1 Trillion Coach is a good one. That's about a football coach. Have you read that book?
No, never heard actually.
So it's just about a gentleman who's a football coach who kind of branched out and started consulting with Google, Apple, a bunch of other things, and just formulating teams, kind of empowering people to solve complex problems. So we have this in our dental group all the time. It's typically the dentist is saying, I'm going to fix all this stuff myself.
Yeah. And
that's a huge no-no, or I'm going to do all this myself. And they're really bad delegators. So that's a really good one. Goodness. There's another good book, Making Money is Killing Your Business. Have you read that one?
No, but I've heard of that one at least.
So it's basically, as we're dentists, we think we do extra, we make this amount of money, and then it goes into our account. Very rarely do we actually say, hey, look, let's look at this a different way. Let's look at, I own a business. How do I make my business run better?
Yes.
Based off of systems.
Yep, operating
such that
systems.
I might actually be able to be removed from this operation and plug someone else in and make the same amount of money, if not more. So it's about a gentleman who's done this 10, 15 times with his businesses and how he's done it. But it's pretty much working on your business. So
very cool.
Versus working in your business.
Yep. Which as dentists, we have to do both.
Right, exactly.
For the most part.
Yeah, very few of us can't. And so we're almost chained to the chair in a weird way.
Yeah.
Blue Ocean Strategy is also a good book. That's a book about when everyone goes left, you should consider going right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a good, so it's just zig. When
how I say it is
zag,
I
right?
zag when people zig and I zig when people zag.
Yeah, that's it. And so that's 100% it. I think we've all read that Jocko Willink book, Extreme Ownership.
Just finished it.
Isn't that such a good book?
Yeah. You know what's funny is the on Audible, the voice difference between Jocko, which kind of, he's got a voice kind of just like this. And then when Leif reads, he goes, and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we went in and I was looking at Jocko and he was wondering what I was thinking. But then again, he knew what I was thinking. Then midnight had come.
Dude, you've got this down.
But talking about obstacles away and Stoic philosophy kind of gets a bad rap, but at the same time, it's what I like about it is the realism. And as you mentioned in Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink talks about that is looking at a crisis and, let's make it the COVID crisis and saying, well, I mean, we're dealt the hand we're dealt, and embrace the suck and good times. Let's rock and roll, like let's go at this, and not necessarily putting a cherry on top, but it's just like, listen, I mean, we're adults and we've got to, get through this, and realizing I can control what I can control. I can't control what I can't control. And then moving on from there with making decisions and making calculated decisions, in this time. So how have you been dealing, I mean, I don't want to dwell on it, but how have you been dealing? What was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago versus now? I mean, do you feel any different, or are you still kind of in panic mode? Were you ever in panic mode with the COVID stuff? How did you feel as a dentist and as an owner?
There's I think it's one of those things you deal with grief in different ways. And when the way I kind of dealt with it, I said, all right, I need to protect my people first. And so, ironically, I was like, okay, we're gonna pay you through all this time, and we did a lot of that. And then we said, all right, let's maximize everything, and let's put you on unemployment, but with the caveat, I'm going to give you a loan that is going to cover the difference, and that loan is either going to be forgiven, which more than likely it will, or you can pay me back via hours. Okay. I also said, you know what, we got a downtime right now, so let's add a couple rooms. And that was a great time to add a couple rooms. So trying to get the bank involved with that.
Good for you.
But also, kind of just like you, I'm trying to acquire a practice too. So when this thing goes away, we're ready to go. And I'm trying to acquire a practice where the doctor didn't really diagnose a lot. And so
low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. We're going to get a lot of emergencies. We're going to get a lot of stuff that breaks, falls apart. And so we're just looking to kind of sustain ourselves. And I told my CPA, I'm going to try to beat my numbers last year.
Sure.
By taking 2 months off. And
right.
I think you could do it. It's just Carrie Miller's like, oh, we're going to beat last year. We're going to stay on track for this year. And for her to say that, I'm like, holy cow, that's awesome. You have a lot of faith in me. But I think it comes back to that goal again. I mean, you gotta have a goal, and you gotta kind of reframe in terms of what's happening. So I think at the end of the day, this stuff happens, but this sounds horrible when I say this. It's a good thing, because pain is a great motivator. Sure. In terms of being able to take that pain and make it and use it to your advantage. It's something, it seems counterintuitive, and but pain is you should welcome. When we don't have that pain in our lives, we become almost stagnant.
Yes.
It's almost like we be just under that threshold. We almost become numb, and when we're numb, we just start doing the same thing every day.
Yep. David Barnes is a dentist mentor of mine that's from Pella, Iowa. He retired a few years ago, but he's been on our podcast before. And he got a hold of me a couple weeks ago via email and said, hey, I just listened to your podcast of such and such, and I really wanted to just encourage you. And I thought that was a good podcast. But since I can say that because I'm putting words in his mouth now. He said it. Wow, Chad, you're more and more amazing. No, but one of the things that he mentioned though about this pandemic crisis and whatnot is that it burns out the weeds in the forest and allows for mature growth, to continue and for the big trees to keep on growing and stuff like that. And I've seen that kind of message mentioned before. In articles and podcasts and webinars and stuff like that. And it's true. It's just like you can use it to thrive, or, some businesses are going to die, and it's unfortunate, but if you have a strong enough business structure, that you should be able to come out stronger.
Reagan Robertson here, co-host of Everyday Practices podcast. This year has been an absolute roller coaster that most people are screaming to get off of. Rather than preparing for the holidays, are you finding yourself stuck worrying about the health of your business? Is it keeping you up at night? Or are you struggling with the thought of a second wave coming, feeling like you were barely prepared the first time this economic downturn even happened? The truth is, you deserve a business that builds you up and doesn't run you down. You deserve something that's weatherproof, that can stand the next wave that's happening. We at PDA put our heads together and are offering something we've never done before, and it will give you access to the proven methods you need right now that will plant your feet on the road to productivity today, not weeks, not months, or years from now. Starting January 14th, we are kicking off another PDA Business Impact Foundations program, and during the month of November until December 1st, we are providing special early bird VIP access. Sign up for the Business Impact Foundations program all of November, and you will receive Dr. Bruce Baird's Pearls of Productivity on-demand video, a productive activation Q&A session with Dr. Bruce Baird and CEO Victoria Peterson, and a one-on-one master strategist session to put your productivity into play. Go to www.productivedentist.com/foundations to claim your early bird special and use the code FUTURENOW, all one word, FUTURENOW, for a $700 scholarship.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.